Okay, we'll stop it there, and we are going to get started. Okay, messages from members saying that everybody who is RSVP'd is either here or it just wrote back to say they can't make it. So thank you for everybody who's watching live and anybody who's watching this on replay at a later time. Welcome. This is the Cancer New Moon Intention Planting Ceremony. So this is actually a two-part ceremony, or I should say, this is actually a double dose of this ceremony because we had a Cancer full moon just a month ago. I'm sorry, Cancer new moon just a month ago. So on June 21st, we had a Cancer full moon eclipse. Are these making too much noise? I'm gonna take those out. I don't want my earphones. And now here we are a month later, and we are having a double dose of the Cancer new moon. So this ritual is an intention planting ceremony, and this one is all about vision boarding and collecting images to bring our visions or what we want for our life into our physical reality. And I'm really excited that we have the opportunity to do this ritual again. Usually there's only one new moon per year on the Gregorian calendar. That's every 12 months. We usually only get one new moon. And in this case, we are lucky to get two. So I'm doing cross streams. I've got multiple channels up here. So I'm gonna see if I can look at both. So what does that mean? So usually when there's a 13th new moon or 13th full moon, as I said, there's usually only one per calendar month of the year. So usually there's only 12. In this case, we're in the 13th new moon. So what does that mean? It's essentially the universe doubling down. And right now we're in a series of eclipses. And as we can all tell from the energy, the global energy, things are happening fast. It's literally a matter of like moments or days where things used to take much longer to come into our reality. I'm going to give it a Cancer new moon call or the Capricorn new moon call. I'm sorry, the Cancer new moon call that we had on June 21st or the Capricorn full moon call that we have on July 5th. But I spoke something into existence here in the circle, and holy cow, it's like coming into my reality. And this isn't a little thing, this is like a pretty big thing. Okay, so how do we always start these? You're gonna want your Foursquare, which is just a blank piece of paper that you're gonna fold into fourths, hamburger, hot dog, as I always say. You can get a copy of this by going down below to the ritual or in the Lunar Manifestations members area. That's where you can find this. And what you're going to do is plant your intentions in the 4 quadrants. The 4 quadrants are health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Alternatively, you can use words like ease, flow, connection, and expansion. If you're new to this practice of intention planting, I always suggest going with health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression because they're more tangible, kind of concrete words that we can potentially write something down in or plant an intention in that quadrant and then see it in our reality in a pretty quick, tangible way. A member shared with us a couple months ago that they had intended to meet a life partner and someone to share their life with. And within a moon cycle, had been in contact with somebody who, after the our current events allowed people to travel internationally and in person, they were going to meet up. And she said she couldn't believe it and how quickly it happened. And a lot of times this stuff seems like it pops really quickly in a matter of 2 weeks. But what I've noticed in my years of doing this, and I've led an intentional moon planting or lunar cycle intention planting lifestyle, essentially doing ceremonies every 2 weeks at the new full moon for at least 3 years, probably longer than that, but intentionally for 3 years. And what I tend to notice happening is you plant an intention at the new moon, and then 2 weeks later, something might pop at the full moon. And when I say pop is like, boom, you get some noise and, noise, yeah, kind of, but you get news that will play favorably into your life, or maybe you'll get information that will shift your perception of something so that you start going in a different direction. And in 2 weeks, that can seem like a big thing to happen, but really our internal desires and the things that we want in our life are always kind of like, I say they're written on your heart, or they're written in your soul, or it's in your book. And it's just a matter of you consciously acknowledging that and then taking the first step one, of writing it down and planting your intentions. And then step 2, speaking it out loud or sharing it with a collective. Like a supportive circle in this case to support you. And that's part of this that I don't share that often because we're already here in this collective. And if you are in this circle, if you're watching this, that means that you are holding space with us as a circle, as a group of souls who want the best and highest for everybody involved. And so when you share in that intent, it builds the energy so that what you want can manifest much quicker. Now, when you speak it out loud, like I did a month ago or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, somebody's watching this and you go back and you see the last new moon ceremony and or the Capricorn full moon ceremony. If you could let me know when I said it out loud, because I can't remember. But I spoke it out loud. Actually, yeah, it would have been, I started it. Yeah, okay, anyways, it's been last month. And now it has popped. Something has popped in that direction. So the first step is noting, that it's a new moon. Fold your piece of paper in fourths, and then you're going to plant your intentions. And again, that can be health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression, or ease, flow, connection, and expansion. So members, you always have access to this in the members forum, or you can message me via the members for more details, which thank you guys so much for all of the messages in the members app. It really is encouraging, and I'm going to share some of our member testimonials soon because we've had some really cool things happening that not everyone is comfortable sharing with the group. I tend to be the receiver of all of this excitement and goodwill, but I think it's so important that we share it as a group because then it shows that how even just within this space we're manifesting our desires quickly sometimes. So yeah, when you're planting your intentions, you're going to want to do a micro intention and a macro intention. Micro being something that you could reasonably see coming into your physical reality or into your field of existence in the next 2 weeks between this new moon and the upcoming full moon in Aquarius, which is in 2 weeks' time. And then macro being something that you could reasonably or even unreasonably see manifesting into your reality in 6 months, which is the time between this Cancer new moon and the corresponding Cancer full moon. So the Cancer full moon will be on December 30th. So it's like right at New Year's Eve. This is a great time to be doing this ceremony, which is a vision board ceremony, where you can quite literally, pull out images from a magazine or on an online Pinterest board or anywhere and envision your future reality to draw it into your existence. And you're always going to want to plant with I am, like declarative statement. So you're syncing up, with the energy that creates worlds in the sense that you're saying, I am source. I am a co-creator with the universe. And I am claiming this as something that is going to come into my reality. So we don't use like I want or I need or I will. You just say like, I am designing my dream home with a basin of the basin sink. Spoiler, got something like that. And you use I am language to pull it into the now moment. I am enjoying long, healthy dinners with my soulmate or my life partner who I'm able to share, my innermost desires with and who supports me. That might be something that's like in your love quadrant, and then the sync example might be something in your perfect self-expression or your ease or wealth section. So there's something like tangible that you want to draw into your physical reality. In my case, it's a house. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that from your vision boarding. Okay, so that covers our intention planting ceremony for this. At the end, if anybody has any questions, I will be happy to answer those about how we plant our micro and macro. And again, think of your intentions just like planting a garden, the same way that you would, plant a seed and water it. You're going to plant your intention and then water it with, by writing it down and water it with the energy of affirmation and water it with the energy of the group. So if you can find someone to speak this out loud to, please do that. I highly encourage you to do that. Even if that's recording an audio and sending it into the group where you can post, as part of the member circle. You can even, I love getting these. People send me their spoken affirmations all the time. So speak it in a voice memo and send it to me. And I'm happy to hold that energy for you because, as we know, when you're manifesting, it's always ideal to have a supportive, circle or tribe or group of like-minded souls to hold that energy for you. Okay, so that's it on your intention planting, so be sure to do that. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the full moon. I'm sorry, the new moon. I get excited. I'm going to the Wix app. So if you remember you have the Wix app where you can get all these rituals on the go, and you can just straight from the forum, you can see all of the rituals, you can interact with them. That's where you can watch replay of this. And still, am I connected to the internet? You do need to be connected to the internet, but if you don't happen to have the internet, you can also download the ritual. So if you're a member, you can download the ritual for offline viewing. You can also listen to it via audio. The links are in there. And if you are not a member over here on YouTube, you can purchase the ritual for download. So let me just pull this up. Okay, so the Cancer new moon is all about vision boards and vision quests. So vision quests are just essentially, peering into the imagined future. So I'm going to read it a little bit, and then we'll go through it kind of quickly because, again, this is a repeat. Oh, I forgot to mention, when you're planting your intentions for the Cancer new moon, if you already planted them at the last Cancer new moon in June, you have two options. One, you can do a double sheet of paper and then staple it together or tape it together or put them together. Or you could just go through and see what you planted last month at the Cancer new moon and adjust it if you want. Just kind of be like, oh, you know what, I don't know that one exactly fits. And if it really fits, you just put a double star on it. And again, it's just like the universe is doubling down on this energy. Before I move on, I'm just gonna check something really quick. Okay, so vision quests. Okay, so again, you can get them in the Wix app. We're gonna go to the Cancer new moon. Okay, so future tripping, part of the future tripping, part of the human condition of peering into the imagined future and anticipating the outcome. Ever wanted to pack a bag and hit the road to see what this big, beautiful world has in store for you? So this month, oh my gosh, I'm trying to look my words. This month, let's explore a new definition of future tripping. So July marks the dog days of summer in the Northern Hemisphere, where trips to the beach, pool, lake, or river take precedence over new work projects. In the Southern Hemisphere, it's still sunny by most accounts, but a time of relaxation and going to ground as the people, plants, and animals rest in the cooler weather. It's that time of year when we collectively soak up the sun, put our feet in the sand or soil, and let our minds take a little siesta from the normal hustle and bustle. The relaxing new moon in Cancer gives us permission to chill this month by ushering in a huge wave of communal summer vibes, regardless of the hemisphere. While the collective energy is focused on rejuvenating, now is a perfect time to draw into yourself and get cozy while you focus on your domestic center. So this month's new moon ritual lets you go future tripping in the best way without leaving your beach blanket or porch swing by peering into your vision, by prepping your vision board materials and fine-tuning the way you see your living or workspace. So it's also a great ritual to do right now while we're all kind of literally stuck at home. And we're using the energy of a Chinese bagua. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, dive into the ritual. We've got it all in there. And it's essentially how we design our vision boards using a Chinese bagua. So instead of just pulling things from magazines like you would with a traditional vision board and just kind of throwing them up, I think they say scattershot. It's like, there, that's what I want to manifest, which is what I used to do. And then I would manifest things in the craziest ways. Like I wanted to become a published author in the field of academia in my in education. I wanted to be like a published education author. And in my mind, I thought I was going to get my thesis turned into a manuscript, and I was going to publish that, and then I would go on to be in peer-reviewed journals. And I kind of like was very narrow in my thinking, but I wasn't very organized in my vision, in my envisioning. And so I just kind of like threw it up on the board along with like how much I wanted to make. And I think I said like $50,000 to publish this book. I figured that's like a year's teaching salary. That sounds great for my first book and to get my master's thesis that was at that point like 10 years old, refurbished and published, because it had always been a dream of mine to get it published. And within that year, within 6 months of kind of throwing it up on my vision board, I actually manifested my dream job in education, which was curriculum development. And I ended up becoming a published author and making over $150,000 throughout the course of the project to do something that I literally would have done for free. And I couldn't believe I was being paid to do it. I got to work with amazing people, top academics in their field, in a historic building in Washington, D.C. with some of the top minds in their field. And still to this day, I look back, I'm published. I end up, getting mentioned in different articles. And to this day, I look back on that and I'm like, that's not what I intended. I had this much narrower idea of what I wanted. I wanted to get my education manuscript published, and I wanted to earn $50,000. Like, that's what sounded great to me. And a year and a half later, 2 years later, this project took on a life of its own, and is serving me in ways like I never imagined. Because beyond just getting my work published and becoming an author, and receiving like the financial abundance that I wanted from that, I got to work with some of the most incredible people. And that wasn't something that I put up on my board. I learned so much about myself in the process, my ability to work remotely while building my business, Golden Ladder. And so it's just an idea of when you're using your vision, when you're doing your vision board, using the Bhagwa, which we have in the ritual, it's about like placing things in alignment with the different energies. So like the energies of our home or our life. So one could be, for example, there's your power, wealth, and abundance corner, which actually I'm sitting. This room of my house is my power, wealth, and abundance corner, because the areas on our vision board can also correlate to our homes, which is where the idea of a Chinese Bhagwa comes from. It's like a classic principle in feng shui with how you organize your living spaces, and maybe why you put a mirror in front of an entryway to reflect light, and you would not put, you wouldn't want your abundance corner like where you take out the garbage, or with a garage that the doors open and money can always be leaving. So we use the idea of a Bhagwa with vision boarding, and then we can also apply that within our home. So we kind of go back and forth with it. But so, for example, some of the corners are your power, wealth, and abundance corner, your fame and reputation quadrant, your love, marriage, and relationship quadrant, your family, health, and community quadrant, your knowledge, wisdom, and harmony quadrant, your self, career, and work quadrant, which whenever you're aligning this over your house is always by your front door. And then your compassion, travel, and helpful people quadrant, your creativity, children, and legacy quadrant. And then right in the middle, the core is your well-being and balance quadrant. So this is all not making sense. It's all in the ritual, and it makes a lot of sense. So for this month, all you're going to be doing is making a vision board. You're pulling things from magazines and putting it up on your vision board in a kind of structured way, with some intention, instead of just kind of throwing it all up there. And then you can use that same energy to move throughout your house using the Bhagwa, if you'd like. Also in the ritual, and I'm looking for it now, is my recipe. Well, it's actually not my recipe. It's Ellen Whitehurst, who was a metaphysician who practiced feng shui. It was her recipe for moon dust. And I'm trying to find my little vial of it. Hold on one second. I think my daughters have taken my vial of moon dust. They love it, and I don't know where it is. Oh, those little stinkers. My kids took it. I'm gonna have to go find it. They saw I got it out, and it was sitting here. Okay, that's okay. It's edible. It's all edible ingredients, so that's why they like it. They like to get it and Okay. Okay, so anyways, there's a recipe for moon dust in there. Those little girls. This is the joy of being a metaphysical mama. I've got crystals, I've got candles, I've got moon dust, I've got, all the things. And then my kids, because they are so into it, I think that must be what this is. I always ask them not to touch things, or if they're going to, like, to put them back. And I found this Helga Hufflepuff 3D card in the place of where my moon dust should be. So I think this might have been an exchange, but I'm gonna have to go get it back. Anyways, that's what the ritual is. And because this is a double dose, I actually want to talk about something exciting. So with vision boarding, it's all well and good when you put it on a 2D or a 3D, like you're tearing out things from a magazine and you're putting it up on your vision board. I keep going like this because my vision board's over here. And as long as it's in a prominent place and you can see it all the time, and you know that when you're looking at those images, they really resonate and are specific, that's well and good. So I used to look at my vision board, it was all just kind of on there, scattered, and I had these words that meant something to me, but then they might manifest in kind of a scattered way. And so now something that I'm also offering, and I've been doing this for the last month, and it's insane how well it works, is what we would call like 3D vision boarding, or even 4D or 5D vision boarding. And it's listening to music, watching videos, going on Zillow, going onto interactive sites, and then actually planning as if whatever that activity or thing you want to happen is actually happening. So I've been getting a lot of pings for different things in the company that maybe I should be exploring. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's like for me. And then I'm like, I'll just look. And I'm having so much fun exploring these avenues that I'm like, why wouldn't I do this? I'm enjoying it. So even if I just enjoy it, I'm gonna do it. And the intent is that then it helps more individuals connect with this platform and manifest lives that they love. Another example, and I mentioned this a couple months ago. No, it's only been a month. Okay, that's what's so crazy with this, is that I feel like it's been months ago that I said this, but it's literally been 1 month at the max. Yep, because on June 29th, I interviewed Douglas Vermeeren, who has a new movie called How Thoughts Become Things. The podcast is out, but the YouTube is not out yet. So when you see this, you're ahead of the curve for what I'm about to tell you guys. And right before the call, right before his interview, because he talks about how to manifest what we want, you just have to become the thing. And so I just decided I'm going to become the person who looks at ranches in Sedona, Arizona, because my husband and I have talked a lot about where we want our forever home to be. So bear with me. It's a little bit of a long story, but I promise it has an exciting ending and practical steps for how you can manifest what you want. And so right before my call with him, right before the podcast, I spent like 3 hours on Zoom just to get in Zillow, on like a really high vibe. Instead of being on social media and kind of looking through other people's highlights, I decided to go onto Zoom and start looking at my highlight reel, finding views that I want. So a big thing for me in my forever home is what the view from my kitchen sink looks like. Like if it's out a window. Right now, the house that we have, because we move so much for my spouse's career, it looks outside. And that was a huge thing for me. And I wanted an island. I wanted an island in my kitchen and a view out of the window, based on the contrast of my last home, which was this like tiny, it's in DC, was this tiny little galleyway. We had a beautiful home on the Potomac River that I talked at length about how we manifested that, with a view of the Washington Monument. But I did not think to manifest a kitchen that I liked. And as a mother, and a wife, and a human, I spend a lot of time in my kitchen. And so my next house, I would like a relatively big kitchen, maybe the biggest kitchen I've ever had. I want nice countertops that are easy to clean, and I want a center island. And I would really love if I could have a view so that when I'm doing dishes, I can look at something other than a wall. Because in DC, I ended up putting all of my crystals right above the kitchen sink, so that as I was washing dishes and baby bottles and everything, I had something beautiful to look at and daydream about. Okay, so in this house, I have the island sink with these beautiful granite countertops and a beautiful view outside of all these just really nice flowers and birds and everything. Okay, so I manifested that. So now for my future home, I'm like, the next one, I want a view of these mountains. I just want to be able to look out and just see, landscape for as far as the eye can see. I don't want to see fences. I don't want to see neighbors. I just want landscape. And that's like a big guiding thing. And on the last call, around June 29th, I had the podcast, and I spent 3 hours on Zillow and built my energy up so that I was looking at ranches, $5 million ranches for 75 acres. Is that something that I'm going to go get tomorrow? No, but is that something that in 5 years in my life, based on my past experience of manifesting, something that I truly believe I can manifest? Absolutely. So I'm starting the process as if that is what I desire. And along the way, if it becomes maybe, I don't want 75 acres right in Sedona, maybe I want 75 acres up, farther towards, I don't know, Flagstaff, or I don't know, I'm not very familiar with Arizona yet. Maybe I'll adjust. But it's this idea of you're stepping into this life that you want to live. So I'm listening to music that makes me feel like I want to feel when I'm looking out from that kitchen sink on this beautiful mesa, right? I can see it, just like the green and the red and the purple sky. Like I can see it and I can feel it. And now anytime I listen to music, I can feel it. There's these things called mind movies, which you can do, which is essentially where you take a series of photos, like on your phone or screenshots, and then you add a song to it, and then you watch that whenever you want. That would be like a 3D or a 4D version of vision boarding. If maybe like you've already done your vision board and you're ready to take it to the next level, message me if like you're ready to do this, but like only if you're serious, because it can happen fast. My husband did this for like a back situation, and within like 30 days, things had gotten so bad that we had no choice but to do what we needed to do to get him to a place where like he was healed. And sometimes the journey can go quick, but like I say, it's like cracking a whip, where it's like, don't crack it unless you're serious, because once you start the energy, you can't reach out and grab it back. You got to go with it. That's actually a good thing. I don't think there's ever anything bad when you're really intending to manifest the highest and good of all involved. Okay, so why am I sharing this story about Sedona? So on June 29th, I had this interview and I shared it on the podcast, which still hasn't aired. And then in our members group, I discussed, hey, I'm going to speak this out loud. I'm not in a place right now to buy a $5 million, 75-acre ranch in Sedona. But in 5 years, when that is more in alignment with where our family will be, just with our own careers and our ability to do that, because as you guys may or may not know, my spouse is military, so we move a lot, and we don't always get to ever get to decide where we're going. It's usually a short list of options that we get to choose within, and even then, sometimes it's just decided for us. So a month ago, I mentioned, and I spoke out loud to the circle, a group of souls holding space for our desires to manifest, just like any of you on the call or watching this can do. I said, I'm speaking it out loud now. I want a 75-acre ranch in Sedona. And I've got like a five-year timeline on this. Fast forward to Friday evening, which we're coming into the new moon in Cancer energy for a second round. And I've still been really intending with my vision boarding and doing like a 3D kind of like, this is like vision boarding on steroids, because we have doubles, maybe bad, but like it's heightened because we have two, new moons in Cancer. My husband gets a call and he goes, oh man, this is either really good news or really bad news. It's one of those calls. I'm like, you know what? Nothing is ever bad news. We've never gotten one of these calls that has ended up badly for us. It may be not what we want or not what we're expecting, but it has never been bad news. And I was like, no matter what, I'm ride or fly. I don't say ride or die anymore. My new thing is I'm ride or fly. Like, I'll ride with you there or I'll fly with you there, because we're going no matter what. And he gets the call and I'm listening and I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is good news or bad news. Great opportunity, great career-wise for him. And then I'm like, well, where is it? And I can't say where it is yet because we're still, discovering if that is for us. But I will tell you this, in a matter of 48 hours, I was searching for homes in an area of the country that I absolutely love and found top schools for my children to attend within great driving distance for my spouse. And it's not Sedona, but there's a housing let. And because of that, oh, I'm so excited. Like, I'm speaking out loud. I'm so excited. It's actually cheaper and easier, I guess you could say, to build a home, design and build a home, than it is to just rent or purchase. Just the way that things have shaken up in this particular part of where we want to live. Now, if you go to the other side, I'm sure there's other options, but because of the school district that we want to be in and commute time and the amount of time that we're going to be there, and I forgot to tell you guys. Well, if I say this, it might give it away. Well, if you're watching and you find it. Okay. There is a recreation area called Otter Creek Recreational Area. When I typed it in, when I Googled this place, Otter Creek popped up. And the area where we would be possibly building is within that space. Now, I was speaking this into existence before it has fully come into our reality, the possibility, but it is such an exciting one. I mean, I'm sure you guys can see, I'm now in the phase of designing and building my dream house. Now, this is not going to be my forever home, and I'm very aware of that. Unless, I don't know, we get there and it is our forever home. I don't know. Maybe I'll just love it that much. But I'm able to move into a new opportunity instead of saying, oh, there's a housing shortage, we won't be able to get what we want. The schools are terrible where we're going. This is a really intense job and I don't know if it's worth it for our family to have that kind of trade-off. Like all of the possible negative things, by doing this work and like putting myself into an energy, like building my energy into a positive, receptive place where nothing happens that's bad. Basically, it's all an opportunity. I'm like now designing my dream home and I get to have that sink. I know I just mentioned it, but like now my new thing is I want a view and I want a sink basin. Okay, so why am I sharing this all with you? I think the most important thing is speak this out loud to literally anyone who will listen. Write it down for yourself, and if you've been doing a lunar practice for a while now, this is great, and planting your intentions in writing is awesome, but speaking them into existence is where the magic happens. And I was anxious to share such a big dream with even just the members of this circle, which is an intimate group. And within a month, I'm designing a dream home in a school district like that I would be so happy to have my kids in, assuming the world rights itself and about homeschooling stuff. But I just want to leave you guys with that when you're doing the vision boarding, as much as you can, try to like find a way into that experience to live it in the like 4D or 5D. And what I mean with 4D and 5D is when you connect a thought or a vision, meaning like something you tear out of a book, with a feeling, with an emotion. And a really great way to do that is to use music. Go places, if you can actually go places, like maybe if you want to move to a new neighborhood, just start walking around and familiarizing yourself with it in normal times. If you want to take a trip, planning what hotels you would stay at, or, and again, this is like in normal times, right? So do this with the level of caution that you would reasonably use during our uncertain times. But feeling into that experience as much as you can, and then just speak it out loud. And I'm here, like you guys can speak it to me all day because I love hearing this. And I want to be able to support you during this time. Okay, so thank you for letting me share my big, exciting news. And again, we'll see if it happens. If not, I had an amazing, weekend designing, picking paint colors and batten boards and designer sinks and pocket bookshelves. Like, what a great way to spend a weekend. Okay, this has gone really long. I'm gonna go ahead and pop over for any questions in the chat for any members. I did have some questions that came up for members, one of which was, I'm stuck inside during this, and how can I just get into a better place? My fall plans have all been, okay, here's exactly what it was. I manifested this amazing, I don't know if you would call it, course of study is what it is. And I was so excited for this cross-country move, and I manifested it, and now it's not happening. The pandemic has like paused everything. Now I'm doing online courses. This person's a musician, and they're like, that is not what I had in mind. Like, I did not have in mind taking online courses. I'm a musician. This is me jamming with people, playing with people, being places where people can hear me. And I was like, well, how do I go forward? And I said, first you need to write down what your intent is from here on, knowing the playing field, and then speak it out loud. And it's really that simple, because it's never going to be a perfect set of, it's never going to be a perfect scenario. There's always going to be something that comes up, and things will manifest in ways that as they're happening, you may not look at it and see it as an opportunity. It might be in the reflection that you see the opportunity, but if you can, as you're becoming aware that you want things to shift, for example, you probably would not do a vision board unless you had an idea that you wanted something even just a little bit different for your future life than what you currently have. Because if what you currently have is amazing, you probably wouldn't be watching this or doing the vision board, which I'm sure what you have is amazing, but wouldn't we all like to manifest that thing that's on our heart, or create that thing that's in our mind or in our energy field? So that was one question that came through. And I'm gonna have to start writing these. Oh my